Hi, and welcome to this voice-guided Zentangle class. You'll need a small piece of paper, a pen, a pencil, and something to blend the pencil with. That can be your finger or a tortillon. I'm using a 3.5-inch white Zentangle tile, a graphite pencil, and a Sakura Micron 01 pen. So let's get started by getting comfortable, allowing yourself to relax. I invite you to lower your gaze or close your eyes to help facilitate relaxation. Pay attention to your breath and how the air is pulled in through your nose, filling the lungs, and then pay attention to how the air leaves the lungs and expels out through the nose. And we can take just a few more moments to observe the breath. Gently raise your eyes and let's start drawing. So take your tile and simply observe it, or your paper, and appreciating the tile itself and also the time you're taking for yourself. And now you can lay the tile back down and pick up a pencil. We'll start by adding 4 corner dots to the tile, one tiny dot in each of the corners. And then draw a light pencil line, connecting the dots to create a very light border, turning the tile for each border line. And that's it for the pencil, so you can lay that down and pick up your pen. Draw an orb anywhere within the border. The orb can be any size, but to give you a reference, the orb can be a bit bigger than your pen cap. Now draw another orb somewhere, and it can be the same size or not. And continue adding a few more orbs of varying sizes. We don't want to fill the space. We want to leave a little bit of space between the orbs. I have about 6 or 7 orbs on my tile now. Now we're going to draw Hollibough behind all of these orbs. So to start, find a point on the border and draw a straight line from that border to another border. And if you hit an orb, draw to the edge of the orb, lift your pen, and then continue on the other side. And then draw a second line that's parallel to the line you just drew, creating a wide band, maybe about as thick as your pen, or thicker. Again, if you hit an orb, lift the pen and continue on the other side of that orb. This gives the appearance that the band is going under the orb. Now let's draw another band. You can turn your tile and find a point on the border and draw from one edge to the other. Now, if you cross a previously drawn band, you would do the same thing you would do for an orb. Pick up the pen and continue on the other side. And then draw a parallel line to that line you just drew, creating that next band. Now continue to Hollibough in the Hollibough fashion, drawing under the orbs and the existing bands. A technique you can try is to make the bands narrower as you go. This gives the illusion of depth. So the wider bands are on the surface, and the narrower bands are further down. And once you're satisfied with the number of bands you have, we can move on to fill the space between the boards with ensemble. Working ensemble is like drawing an orb, but trying to smush it into a defined space. I like to think of it like a balloon, and you're trying to stuff it into a space. So find an edge of a space between the boards that you've made, and starting at about the middle of that edge line, retrace that line until you get to the corner, and then skip the corner. Don't retrace it. Instead, round the corner and continue to retrace the line on the other side. Then when you get to the next corner, again, stop a little way before the corner and curve the line, skipping that corner. Remember, it's like you're trying to take a flexible orb and smush it into a defined space. So it's not going to fill the space. It'll leave the corners empty. So go ahead and fill in your empty spaces created by Hollibough, remembering to go under any orbs your pen encounters. And once you're done filling the spaces in with ensemble, let's add a little bit of love to the drawing. To make the illusion that the bands are wrapping around the edge, you can add a curved line at the end of each band. So you go from one line to the next, drawing a slightly curved line. And continue that on each side. And if you like, you can also draw over that pencil border and maybe fill in the little gaps between the border and the bands and ensemble. There's like these little creases maybe in there. Okay, so I think it's now time for shading, and you can put the pen away and pick up your pencil. And we'll start shading at the orbs. So putting the tip of the pencil to the edge of the orb, lightly putting down graphite around the edge. And you can do that to every single orb. And then we can add shading to all the parts where the bands go over other bands. So at creating a shadow, just adding a little bit of graphite down. And if you like, you can add graphite along the entire edge of the bands. So take your time, shade as you like. And you can pause here if you're not done and come back, because now we can take a tortillon and start to smooth the graphite out along the edges. Bring in the tortillon's tip also right up to the edge of the lines. Around the orbs, I like to move in a circular motion, and then with the bands, I like to move in a back and forth motion. Okay, so that's looking done. Now we can maybe pick up the tile and hold it about arm's length away and see if there's anything more you'd like to add. And if not, then you can take your black micron pen and add your chop. And that is it. Thanks a lot for joining me on this voice-guided Zentangle adventure.